Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper, and today's antique junk journal is this beautiful Bunny Brown and his sister Sue book. I've had probably 4 or 5 of these over the past few years. Never one at Christmas Tree Cove, and I just love this little image here. This beautiful little beach image. I was going to make it a beach book, but I decided to make it an everything book. So I got some of my wonderful vintage beads down the side here to match the colors of this original cover. And this is a Laura Lee Hope book, and it's all intact here. And everything, I overstuffed it actually. I don't think there's a page that doesn't have a secret insert and antique treasure in it. So every single page is antique or vintage ephemera, no commercial products, no digitals. It's all the real McCoy. You're gonna get lots of surprises in here. So before I put it in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com, let me give you a little tour of this special little journal. I've got the original first pages in here, the first plate of the book. This book is from 1920. And then this is a 1930s children's book page here and a vintage school page. This is a 1950s doily book page, and that's the original inside construction piece of the book that I pulled out, and now it's a belly band. This is a 1920s children's book page that I turned into a journaling spot. And this is a wonderful 1970s page from a little fashion magazine, like fashion for knitting and crocheting and such. This is a vintage button card, 49 cents. Really pretty. Actually, you could use those. Isn't that great? Yep. And then that is an antique book page, Ernest Hemingway. And you can journal on that because it's mostly blank. And then back here is from 1953. We've got a check for $25. Yeehaw! This is a wonderful 1923 Atlas page, and that is Florida and up the coast there, up the East Coast, all the way up to Philadelphia. Oh, cool. It's beautiful, a beautiful piece. And then that's the flip side of that. These wonderful little bulb advertisements. That's more of that 70s magazine page. And this is more of that crochet book page. That down there is from an antique book. I made it into a pocket. And this little vintage glassine stamp collector's envelope is filled with antique and vintage international stamps. Pretty cool. I pulled this word out of an antique book, notes, so you can write your notes. And this is another children's book page here, and that came from a fairy book, and a 1950s Pearl Shop receipt, and a 1960s ledger sheet there, vintage dictionary page, and in the pocket here, I've got this 1950s baby card. And you'll find whenever you find a vintage card, look inside, because that's often where they wrote their messages. And once I actually found a bit of money in there. How funny is that? It was actually a piece of money, and I'll explain that more in one of the journals coming up. Sorry, I'm just going to leave this aside here. Now, another 1930s book page there, and this is from the 1800s, and antique paper on the back of that. And this is also from the 1800s here, from a German book. And there's one of these fantastic flinch cards that is from the 1920s, really good condition, but 1920s. Also from the 1920s is wonderful hard cardstock children's book page. Another children's book page here. More vintage dictionary. This came from a vintage 52-year-old wildflower book. And then there's a fun little hidden journaling spot up here. These are some of my pressed wildflowers here. Isn't that beautiful? So I thought I'd put those together. That's from the 1920s there. Children's book page with antique paper on the back. And another one that says notes. I love making lots of hidden journaling spaces in my journals. If you own them, you know that. You can stuff more into. There's a little hidden pocket down here, and I got this from a 1953 yearbook. And then here's another one of those little pieces from that German book I was telling you about from the 1800s. And then up here, I have this fantastic early 1900s bird book page. Isn't that beautiful? That's the crusted flycatcher and a little bird's nest there. Very collectible. And then this is a plate also from the early 1900s, and that's Napoleon there. And then over here is a wonderful piece from the 1800s. This one's from let's see up there, 1895. I see the date up in the corner there, September. And just the most oh, they just have the best graphics and such great advertisements. It's just fun to have. A little piece of history there. And then this was a dilapidated book that I could not save, so I turned it into a journaling card. Vintage bird book page there. And there is a gull there. And this is another fun 1940s page turned into a pocket. This is from the 1800s, 1 shilling and 6 pence each. I don't know how much that is, but I just love that it says that. Very old Monopoly piece here, and an antique transportation ticket from London. And this is also from the 1800s, Everyday Life on the Railroad. Isn't that neat? Just some cluster here. And this is a wonderful 1955 Betty Crocker cookbook page. Cookies. Amazing, right? Some handwritten notes in there from the owner of that cookbook. More children's book pages. These are 2 research pages. One was hand typed, and the research was from 1892, and one was handwritten. Isn't that neat? And this pocket here I made from a book called Freckles from 1904. Here's another original plate from this book. I had to cut it down so it would fit in the pocket. There's Bunny and Sue there. This is a plate from the 1930s on bookkeeping. This is an original 1930s school book page. It's so silky and smooth. I love it. This is a 1955 American Highways Road Map, which is very cool. Another 1950s embroidery book page. And then this is from 1905 here, and that is from an English countryside series that I have. Gorgeous full color plate there. Here's another pocket here with a plate hiding inside. And this one is from the early 1900s, hand colored there. And that's Stockholm on one side and Copenhagen on the other. Fun. And there's another original plate from this book. There they are in the forest. And then here's more of that vintage map. And this little page here that I turned into a pocket is from the 1800s. And then this is from 1927, and it is spectacular. I had to fold it up quite a bit, but worth it, because look at these wonderful shoes in this catalog. Biggest catalog I've ever seen, actually. And some of these styles are right back in. It's so much fun. So I hope you enjoy that. And then the original last pages of the book, including the end. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. You can find that in my Etsy shop, hyperstamper.etsy.com. And please, please subscribe. And I'll see you soon.